What is up, guys? We are here for the first episode of the official 2018 career. We dabbled a little bit in the modded one, but this is the actual one. And judging by the background, you can obviously see who we have gone with for our first season out of 10 seasons. It's going to be pretty difficult to get to the end of that mark, but we'll do our best. As always, we've already done the practice, so we're going to go straight into qualifying and see where we can put our Sauber on the grid. You can see we're stuck behind Carlos Sainz at the moment for our first run in Q1. So we're going to come across the line, and we're already a little bit off of Esteban Ocon, who you would assume would get through to into Q2 at least. So that time put us down a little bit. We did improve to a 24.8, but that still wasn't enough to keep us in the mix. So we're going to have to go out again, have a little bit more of a tinker on the set, maybe a little bit more wing, and then go out for our third run, which, as you can see in the top right hand corner, we are 8/10 up on that lap already. So we're not doing too bad. We're going to come across the line, open DRS as we make our sprint to the start finish, and you're going to come on and we're going to go P11. So that is technically good enough to put us into Q2. Our teammate, unfortunately, doesn't make it into Q2. He misses out just about behind Pierre Gasly. So our first run in Q2, we're going to go a little bit wide on the exit, which is going to compromise us down the start finish straight. You can see we are 3.2 seconds off of Lewis Hamilton. So our second run's a little bit better. We're running out of time, so this is our only opportunity. Already nearly 1.3 up. So this lap has been a whole tons better. We're going to come across the final corner, much better exit, as that clock at the top right is going to continue to climb. 1.5 up, and we manage to make it into Q3. On our debut, we managed to make Q3. That is phenomenal, and that lap was literally everything I had in the tank. Literally, that's all I had. I didn't have anything else more. Ricardo just makes it in. Hulkenberg is out with Carlos Sainz. So Renault's not doing too good of a job getting into the qualifying, but this is where I make my mistake. So I'm having a look through the tyres, looking at the wear and all that, and for whatever reason, I just pick one that's got 8%. I'm not 100% sure why, and we'll come back to this in a little bit later, as it plagues me just a little bit. We'll come across the line, and again, just like last time, we are incredibly down on our first run, down in P6, which is essentially going to put us last. But you can see on our final run, we just put it in the gravel, so we absolutely messed that up there. So we do have time for one more run, although it's going to be very hit and miss, as we wasn't doing too bad, but we wasn't doing phenomenally well on the final lap. So we're not going to have the best run into turn one. It's going to be down just a little bit in terms of actual pace. Now, ERS, it's not too bad. Like, during the practice session, I found it a little bit difficult, but my fastest lap in practice was actually during the ERS management. We cock up turn one, and the exit is just awful. So already 2/10 down coming into this right-hander. So we've got a lot of time to make up. So we're going to have to absolutely push for all of our worth. We go extremely wide here, which is we're losing more time. So we're starting to panic a little bit. Like, we need to get something here. So we're just going to have to gung-ho the rest of the lap and just hope that we can make it. We get too ambitious on the entry, and that's us. We've gone sideways, and that's our lap ruined. So we can't do anything there. So we actually stay P10, just behind Stoffel Van Dorn, who, fair play to him, making it into Q3. But
great work out there today. How do you think it went? It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race?
So we meet our future wife to be for the first time. Fantastic qualifying session, not gonna lie.
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
I don't know.
Appreciate your time.
Cheers, love. But fantastic qualifying, to be fair. Obviously, we beat our teammate Charles Leclerc, so it's not all that bad, and we're obviously into Q3. I'd like to say this would be a regular occurrence, although I've got a feeling it's not going to be. It was just getting into Q3. That was probably one of the best laps I've ever done in my life. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was just balls to the wall, everything out there. Got Emma, bloody Emma. If you're wondering why there was no intro to the actual thing itself, it's because I had a few glitches when I first started up the game. Because I'm on a 4K laptop, the actual thing itself didn't load, and like 9/10 of the screen was just a black box with a little bit at the top. There's a picture on my Twitter if you want to go see what I'm on about. So there's no introduction to the career mode, and when I recorded it, it's recorded in a box as well. So the menus itself was all a little bit icky. So that's why there's no introduction, and I figured it cuts out a good 5 minutes of the of the video anyway. Like the first video is always going to be a bit longer than the others just because of all the other stuff you got to put in with. But this one's slightly different to say the modded one, where that focused primarily on just the racing with like what the AI are doing and stuff like that. Well, obviously this career mode it's basically centered all around me. Obviously there'll be a few bits where it's crucial to the championship or crucial to the race, what's going on, like retirements and stuff like that. But all in all, it's a bit more about me. I'm being a bit selfish for once, which is, it's not always the worst thing. We'll see we're on the grid now. You'll see a few YouTubers here and there. It's a bit weird. It's weird getting used to it. But fair play to the lads that obviously got their mugs in. You can see Scott there, just looking at his car. I wouldn't trust him, Lewis. Either way, we're nearly ready to get on the way for our debut race. A lot of pressure, especially being this close in the up the order, but hopefully going to have a good race. No issues, fingers crossed. But starting in the midfield like this in the Alfa Romeo Sauber is going to be a little bit difficult, especially with, we've got a few fast cars behind us. We've got both the Renaults. One of them starting at the back of the grid because he had a grid penalty. I believe that was Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg is starting P20 along with Romain Grosjean, who didn't set a time in Q1, which I thought was a bit peculiar. Must have had an engine issue or something like that. But either way, we're going to do our last little burnout as we line up to the grid right behind Ricciardo and alongside Stoffel Van Dorn. So we're going to wait for the lights to come on, reach the optimum gear ratio and rev limiter, and we're underway incredibly slowly. That was an awful start. You can see we're going to get swamped by Sergio Perez. Pierre Gasly is coming up on our right hand side, and he's going to dive it into turn one. He's going to overcook it, so we're going to go a little bit to the right. He's going to push us ever so off to the track. Pierre, mate, come on, calm it down, sunshine. We've got Sergio Perez just ahead of us, Stoffel Van Dorn on the left hand side. We're going to have a look at Perez just to get away from all that chaos. We could end up in the barrier very easily. Kevin Magnussen is just ahead of us. Pierre Gasly does make up into P10 past Sergio Perez and Van Dorn. So Gasly won that exchange very, very well, to be fair. So not too bad. Good start. It's going to be very close to the rear end of Kevin Magnussen. Almost getting Jack Jones on in our front wing. We're going to come along here. It's quite interesting how slow they're going. It's given us an opportunity to lunge at Magnussen, and it's going to be very hit and miss. Over the sausage curb we go. We're going to be a little bit bouncy as Magnussen's going to have a run on us here. And same engine, probably a little bit less drag than we do. We're going to have to switch to the inside and hope for the best, hold our breath, and we make it past Kevin Magnussen into P8. Kevin Magnussen's going to be a little bit further back, but not a bad first lap. As we have a look what was going on up at the front, Lewis Hamilton obviously on pole with Sebastian Vettel, Verstappen, and then Raikkonen. Ricciardo's a bit out of place, so he's not unfortunately in this. Raikkonen pulls to the inside to have a look on Vettel, and he's actually going to make it through. Verstappen's got really nowhere to go, but Vettel punches back at Raikkonen, which leaves him very vulnerable to Verstappen. But back here, this is the entanglement I wanted to avoid. There's sparks everywhere. All these cars going 2x2x2 from us all the way up to the back. It was absolutely crazy how many cars. But we're on, I believe, lap 2 now. We're on the rear of Carlos Sainz. He's going to come through turn 1, getting onto this where the DRS straight is, and then just as simple as that, bang, goes his rear right tyre. So he's going to have a puncture. He's going to be going incredibly slow. And we've got a yellow flag as we catch up onto lap 3. VSC for Carlos Sainz, who's going slow. Luckily for us, he was off the racing line. But it was very peculiar. So if you remember I said earlier about I'm an idiot for picking the 8% worn tyres. Well, that was the fastest lap I set in qualifying because I couldn't make another lap. So coming on to lap 3, we're already having to pit for the super softs. Now, there's supposed to be rain in this Grand Prix at some point. So my logic at this was go on the super softs and just stick it out until the rain comes, if that's possible, and then just hopefully go straight on to if it rains enough. So I think there was like 30% chance, 30% of the race is going to be wet. So there's a good opportunity for this pit stop strategy to work. but obviously at the same token, there's always a good chance. But lap 4, you can see Carlos Sainz is still trundling around. He is going incredibly slow, especially at this high speed section. He should be ideally on the other side of the road because the leaders are coming through. Now there goes the Ferrari of Hamilton. There goes Verstappen. There goes Alonso. Ricciardo brushes up against him. He's going to pull across, and that's Stoffel Van Dorn. Oh, that's a nasty crash for the McLaren driver. He's going to end up in the gravel. We're going to see here, and this is actually a spectacular crash and fantastic camera angle as well. So Van Dorn won't be happy about that. We're going to come across Carlos Sainz now as well, and he's literally right on the apex. So we're going to have to go incredibly wide just to lose as little speed as possible at that point. But here we go. We've got Fernando Alonso, who's come out of the pit lane just ahead of us. Now, he was a little bit further ahead than we were. So we've caught up a little bit of time on him as we come in. We've now got a little bit of a slipstream. We're going to go all the way to the outside. He takes the inside line. We're going to have to go the long way round on Fernando Alonso. We almost touched just a little bit, and it's getting even closer on the exit here. But we managed to force our way past the two-time world champion. And that's up another position, which is crucial. We've got Esteban Ocon just there, who's also pulled off with an engine issue. So that's three-ish cars. I'm counting Carlos Sainz as a retirement at this point because he's at least 2 laps down. We've got Kevin Magnussen, who is battling with Alonso. He's caught up to us now on lap 10. And we're going to hold it down the inside of Kevin Magnussen. So he was behind us before the pit stop phase, and we managed to come out ahead. But there was a yellow flag down the start-finish straight. There was a car that was going incredibly slowly. I believe, looking at the radar, it's a Toro Rosso. And if I'm not mistaken, that is a Ferrari that has stopped on the exit of turn 1. And that is Sebastian Vettel facing the wrong way. So something's gone on with Vettel there. Going to have a look at a replay and actually see what's gone on with the 4-time world champion. But little bit of chaos. So we've got Sebastian Vettel coming out the pit lane. Oh, don't tell me Hamilton's collected him on the exit. Oh, he has. So Hamilton has spun Vettel now. If this happened in real life, the world would be going nuts that Vettel was in the wrong and Hamilton was in the right. Anyway, that's Hartley with the engine failure down the start-finish straight. It went relatively early, to be fair. I'm impressed he actually managed to make it all the way down to the end there. But bad luck for Hartley. I reckon this could be a theme for the rest of the season, knowing Brendan Hartley. But all my defending against these guys, this is the epitome of what's going on this race. Just pure defensive from Alonso and Magnussen. Charles Leclerc's come in the pits. We're in P12 at the moment. Quite a few cars have come in the pit lane. And I believe Sergio Perez is one of those cars. There's Perez, we just passed him there. So we managed to hold off Perez as well as Magnussen. Alonso goes for a move down the outside and we push him off to the edge of the track. So P16, we move up to P6. A few more cars have made their pit stops. Our tyres aren't looking great, but Alonso is still trying to fight us, and Perez has gotten in on the mix. Magnussen fallen back a little bit. Perez has just muscled his way through on there. And you can see we're going to go a little bit wide here, which gives Alonso an almighty run on us coming into the second DRS section. He had it wide open. We're going to go through, we're going to bang tyres a little bit and show the 2-time world champion a little bit of love on our debut. Show we can stick our elbows out a little bit. But I made a bit of a mistake here. So as you can see, the rain's been coming down for a while now. And my engineer said it's time to come in. I didn't think it was. And then I regretted that instantly because everyone else came in. But we managed to just slowly make it round on these super soft tyres and put on some intermediates. So we were currently P6. But coming down the start-finish straight is a Renault. And Carlos Sainz exited the pit when we came in. So that is Nico Hulkenberg, who is overtaking us for P6. And bear in mind, he started in last place. So he's gone from P20 to P6 in this race. So he's done a fantastic job. Still ahead of Fernando Alonso. 8 laps to go. And literally all we did all race was just defend, use our ERS to defend properly. And there wasn't really much of a challenge from Fernando or Kevin Magnussen. Maybe they had squabbled a little bit. But we're going to go a little bit wide here. And Fernando's going to try and maybe dip it down there outside. He'll give it a little bit of a go, but it's still no match. We've covered him off for the last 10 laps or so. So we're going to make it round the final corner in our debut race. We managed to get into Q3. We managed to get P7. Hands down, solid drive. We run out of fuel, so it's very close between ourselves and Fernando Alonso. But all in all, P7. I can't really ask for much more in this Sauber. This Sauber, it was feeling good all weekend. When the rain came, it was a little bit more vulnerable. but in terms of actual pace, we wasn't too bad. Our teammate, obviously, Charles Leclerc, didn't have a fantastic weekend, but you know he did a good job from where he started. He was a little bit down in the opening exchange. He's lost a few positions, but Lewis Hamilton does manage to make it one win of the season. Bottas obviously getting P3 and Raikkonen in P2. So solid drive from ourselves. It was so unlucky with Sebastian Vettel. See, Charles Leclerc only just missed out on the points by about one position. It was Romain Grosjean actually who finished behind ourselves. I thought it was Magnussen, but Magnussen a little bit further down. Vettel there in 13th place. Awful, good recovery drive from Ricciardo, starting in P10, just ahead of Verstappen.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing me. Yeah, you know, couldn't do this without a good team.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Well, technically only 2, 3, but yeah.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
Wasn't too bad. It was alright, you know.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge some corners?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess.
Appreciate your time.
No problem, sweetheart. But yeah, all in all, it was yeah, it was a fantastic race, a good first race as well. I don't think I could have done much better than that. Maybe apart from pitting a lap early, we maybe would have kept P5, P6. Probably would have kept that, and we wouldn't have been under as much pressure from Alonso. It probably would have just been Hulkenberg, in all fairness. But not much else I could say. We've got the next round coming up. We're in Bahrain, the desert. I love that track, but it's going to be a lot more difficult with the Sauber. But anyway, guys, that's been it for round 1. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it here, fantastic job. Hats off to you. 17 minutes deep. Fair play to you. But that's been it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.